You're listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense with your host, Doug Thorpe. Here's Doug.
Hello again, everyone. This is Doug Thorpe, and you're listening to another episode of Leadership Powered by Common Sense. Today, I've got an entrepreneur who has turned a personal tragedy into a quite successful business. I'm going to let her tell her story of the journey she endured and the challenges and inspirations that come from it. Without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Lyndsay Mitcheson. Lyndsay, welcome to the show.
Hello, how are you, Doug? Are you okay?
Doing well. How about yourself?
I'm good. We've got a bit of a time difference going on,
we do.
But we've accommodated it nicely.
Not uncommon with many of my guests. I have an opportunity to speak to amazing people all over the world, and I'm sure this is going to be another opportunity just like that. So, Lyndsay, if we can, tell folks the sort of the genesis story, what started your entrepreneurial journey, and what was that inspiring moment in time, as tragic as it might have otherwise been?
Yeah, it's it starts out as a very tragic, sad story, really, because I became ill. I caught a serious MRSA infection when I was having surgery on my knee, and it just ravaged my leg and left me with a really badly damaged leg that was only ever going to get worse. And so I opted to have my leg amputated. I had an elective amputation after 3 years. I did live with it for 3 years to see if I could live with it. And it wasn't living. It was living in fear of what the next thing would be that would damage it, that would lead to an amputation. It was just a life living in fear. So I opted to have my leg amputated. And it was just the door opening to progress for me. It changed my life, literally, and I had so many more opportunities after I had my leg amputated. I was able to move around without worrying. I trained as a circus performer, believe it or not. I performed in the 2012 Paralympic ceremonies in London, but I also went on this journey to start creating my own walking sticks. I found that I needed one as an ambulatory amputee, and I found I needed a walking stick, and they were just bloody awful. They were horrible. They were just almost designed to accommodate, flowers. No creativity, nothing. There was nothing that screamed out to me because I was only in my early 40s. So that's where my journey started. I decided that I would make my own walking stick, which then led me into this amazing entrepreneurial business that I've created, where we send walking sticks all around the world. And we change lives all around the world because, the walking sticks just give you so much confidence and people want to talk to you about them. And, this was what I found. This was why I decided to go into making them as a business. I wanted to give that feeling to as many people as I could. And that's what I do today. And I'm very proud and I'm very lucky.
Well, what a story. I think, again, turning that adversity into opportunity, and some say necessity is the mother of invention, and you had the need. You were not satisfied with the availability of the walking sticks that you found initially and turned that into it. So I'm going to jump fast forward real quick. I'm taking it, is it possible for someone to send you a design idea and get a custom crafted stick from you?
Yep, we do. We do a lot of bespoke designs. The thing that makes our walking sticks quite unique is that they're made from acrylic. They aren't made from wood or metal, so they can actually be totally clear. That they can be as clear as that glass. Mm-hmm. They can. We make some that light up as well, so you can see and be seen in the dark. But yeah, we make lots of bespoke designs. Yeah.
This may be too far a stretch, but as you were describing that idea, that opportunity, that with the crafted stick, the person can feel seen and be seen, and people come up and want to talk to him about it. And what flashed through my mind is my wife and I enjoy cruising, and inevitably on a cruise, you'll meet some really interesting people. And inevitably it starts with a t-shirt or a hat or a pair of shoes or something that is an eye catcher that's unique and different,
Yeah.
and really sort of projecting this, hey, I'm an individual.
Yeah.
And it prompts some fascinating discussions. And
That's it.
uh, I've certainly gotten into discussions with folks and learned some amazing life stories of journeys that they've taken, and it's all from that one article, that
The conversation starter.
the conversation starter, right?
That's what we call them, and that's exactly what they do. And quite often that there is a stigma attached to using either a walking stick or a cane or crutches or whatever you use to go about your daily life, and that there can be a stigma attached to it, and people don't know how to speak to somebody or how to approach somebody. It's difficult to know what to pick out to talk to somebody about. But so we find a lot of the time people with disabilities just get ignored. We're quite invisible. But what we find with our sticks is this great big, wow, look at me. And people do, they take the bait and they say, oh my God, I love your walking stick. And there the conversation struck up. It is just the same.
You said something to me when we were prepping in the green room. You talked about when your leg was infected, and you said something about you didn't know where the strength and energy and resilience came from because you'd never had a particular role model to demonstrate that for you. Start with that statement you made to me. Tell the folks what you were talking about.
Yeah. When you go through a trauma, I think there's two directions you can take. You can either go forward or you can remain where you are, or go backwards. And for me, I'd never had a family member go through something. I'd never witnessed anybody firsthand go through a trauma and come out fighting on the other side. And I don't know how, maybe it was my family that I was fighting for. I was only young. I was only in my 40s. But I'd never had that role model of someone who actually turned that trauma into a superpower or a success. And I don't know where it came from. I don't really know, but there was no other option for me. All I wanted was to feel progression. And the thing that was happening when I had kept my leg, all I was looking forward to was it getting worse. And that was all I had. It was degeneration that just was laid ahead of me. And I couldn't cope with that. I needed to feel like I was progressing and getting better. And that's where all my energy went, into progressing each day, walk a little bit further, do something, wear the leg a little bit longer, do something that I hadn't done. And that was just how I did it. I don't think it's uncommon. I'm just reading Jeremy Renner's memoir of the accident he had when he was run over by his snowcat, and he talks about that moment of just knowing that he had to come through it fighting, and that there wasn't another choice for him. That was just how he did it. I mean, dramatically different circumstances to what happened to me, but it's the same kind of thing.
Right. I'm curious, when you first entered into that 3-year journey with the continuing infection and complications, Were you part of a support group that was offered up or made available either through the hospitals or the therapy centers or anything like that? Did you do any kind of group work, or were you kind of alone most of the way?
No, I made sure that I had some support from because I was thinking about having this leg amputated. So I sought out to meet amputees, to talk to them about what their journey had been like, what the result was from having their legs amputated, whether it was through trauma or through choice. So I did actually seek out a lot of advice. I had counselling. The hospital offered some counselling for what the journey was going to be like. There was the rehab people, the physios. I met with everybody just so I was fully aware of what I was going into. I didn't go into it blind, and I did. I lived with the leg for 3 years, but it wasn't proper living. It was living in fear of what was going to happen next to the leg. That was going to, I couldn't bend, for example, I couldn't bend my leg because the trauma had been too much and the bone had been eaten away, and it was just too far gone. I couldn't bend it, but if I fell over, it may have bent on its own, and then I would have been catapulted into the choice of having, the leg amputated then, or having it fused, which would effectively mean it would be stuck out like a flagpole. And that was what I was living in fear of every day, the living in fear of tripping over, of falling, of just anything that was going to make that leg progress into the next stage. So I took the power back. I think that was important to me because all this stuff had happened to me. None of it was my choice. So I took the power back and I chose how I wanted the next stage to come and what it was going to be. And I chose to have it amputated. And the fear lifted. And I turned into this yes person who could now go on and do things with this prosthetic leg. And it was amazing. It was life-changing.
Yeah. Well, I asked that question about, reaching out and getting the support network established. I know opportunities I've had with friends and loved ones who have gone through the cancer journey. There are organizations that support, and one of the first things they typically teach is you need to be your own advocate. Don't let the doctors tell you what the next step is.
Oh, yeah.
And if you hear a doctor say unequivocally, this is the next step, you can say, okay, thank you. I'm going to go get another opinion.
Yeah.
And not to be disrespectful, but just to be your own champion of what the choices may be.
Yeah.
And,
I actually did that because when I was, because I had to then find a surgeon who was willing to amputate my leg. And now orthopedic surgeons, by definition, they will operate and then they will operate again and then they'll operate and they'll just keep operating to save that leg. That's what they do. And I went to see one particular specialist who he unequivocally said no, because there's more surgeries we can do on your leg that might help. And he wasn't listening to me, and I was saying no more surgeries, had enough. This is where it's going to end anyway. Just I want to go to the next stage. And I ended up actually going back to the surgeon that had treated me when I was really ill, when I had the infection. And I went back to him, and the first thing he said to me? He said, "I thought you'd have been back sooner." So he kind of knew, because he treated me for quite some time. He knew what my attitude was even way back then, and he thought I would have gone back sooner and asked for this. But I think I needed to live those 3 years to know that I was doing the right thing, to find out the information I needed, to connect with the professionals I needed. And it was without doubt the right choice for me. But lots of support, huge amounts of support out there, but you do have to reach out for it.
Yeah. Well, let's turn to the business journey. So, how long was it before you had that inspiration of crafting your own walking stick that got the idea started?
Do you know, it was probably around about 2012. So I had my leg amputated in 2010 and had some complications, but I was walking, super ambulatory amputee with my prosthetic, was, really super active. And it was around about 2012, and I thought, oh, sometimes I could just do with a walking stick, and this was what led me to look at the market around and decide that there was nothing that spoke to me or that said anything about me, and decided to make my own. So I actually made my own first acrylic walking stick in my kitchen oven at home. And I moulded the handle around a wine bottle, which was quite unique, but it worked perfectly. And then, I was out walking around with my walking sticks, which made me feel great because they were super eye-catching and trendy and edgy, and that they were really a good-looking walking stick, which are two looking walking four words that don't normally go together. And people would start asking me, oh, where did you get your stick from? It's amazing. It looks great. It looks gorgeous. And, you look great with it. And the confidence it gave me. And I just thought, this, I could give this to other people because it's making me feel great. I'm just your average Joe on the street, and I could give this to other people. So it was around about 2012, 2013, I made my first ones to sell. Had a website, and I started selling around the world really, really quickly, because obviously the website is running 24 hours a day in every country in the world. And I found that I was exporting to the US really quickly, and other countries. And it all took off really, really quite well. But I wasn't working full time on that business idea. And I didn't work full time on it. It was like a part-time hobby kind of business, and I didn't start working full time on it till around about 2019, and so that's like 6 years ago, and it's just gone through the roof.
So, do you now have a factory of some sort?
I'm very lucky. I have a lot of space at the back of my house, and I had a purpose-built workshop and office built with a couple of other areas as well. So I have that at the back of my house. I now have a team of 9 people that work for me, which is incredible. I never ever thought that I would, me in my kitchen, never thought that I would have a staff of 9 people. It's amazing. And we make all these gorgeous sticks, and we send them all over the world now.
I'm curious, if you don't mind sharing the profile of those 9. Are they all creatives? Do they have that vibe, or what's the mix?
I have to say, I'm the only person with a disability. A lot of them are family. I would say half of my staff are family. So I've got my sister. She does the books. I wouldn't say she's creative, but she does travel with me, and we go and do different events together. I've got my daughter who takes care of some of the promotions. I've got my son who does photography and videography. My daughter-in-law who's in charge of marketing. So they are all quite creative in that area. I've got a man who now makes them for me, who is actually from California and is totally amazing, because I now can't keep up with. I used to make everything myself, but it's way too big now. He makes everything. So although nobody actually has a disability among them, apart from me, they're very committed to the mission that we're on, because we are on a very clear mission, and that's to help change lives, giving confidence to people with disabilities when they're walking. And the team are, I just have to say, they're quite incredible, because they are so invested in giving great service, in communicating, in understanding the people that we are connecting with in our market. They are people with chronic illness and disability, and they offer a great service, and it's all credit to them that I think the business is the success that it is now.
I can't help myself. I'm a kind of an operations guy by background and bent. So if someone reaches out to you to make an order, is there a is there a measuring process? Do you try to talk
Yeah.
to them about their height
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
reach and
Yeah. Because
alignment and
that's right, because all the walking sticks, they're different shapes, the handles, so they can appeal or not appeal to people with certain pain issues or hand issues or wrist issues. They're different heights, so you do need to measure the height of walking stick that you need, and that's very dependent on how long your arms are. So it's no good if people say, "Oh, I'm 5'7." That means nothing to me because it all depends how long your arms are. There's a very definite measurement that we need, and we give advice about it on the website on how to do it. So yeah, you measure the height that you need, and we'll make that stick for you and send it out to you.
that's just fascinating to me. And I kind of geek out on some of the details like that. So pardon me but thank you for humoring me on that
No,
question.
no, not. It's really really important. Sorry, Indy. Come. Sorry, one of the postman's here to collect all our boxes, and he's wheeling them through the garden, and the dogs can see them. But it's really really important. Bye. There goes the postman.
Yeah.
But it's super important that measurement. So we do advise people to do it very carefully.
Yeah, I can only imagine. And how's your repeat business?
Amazing. We have some, and I'm not going to say men or women because you guys are just about as bad as the ladies are.
Oh,
We have some people who have 30 of our colours. We have some people who are just on their start of their near walk journey and they have a couple, but we have a really great community who show each other what they've got and they show each other pictures and they answer questions of each other, if anybody wants advice on anything. And we have a really lovely Instagram community and Facebook community where there's lots of, again, it's that support because it can be difficult especially if it's your first walking stick, it can be really, really difficult. So there is a lot of support out there, but repeat business it's key to the success of my business and we need to keep our customers engaged. So we're always trying to our social media is quite interesting. We're always asking questions and what people would like to see. But the repeat business is key to a business like ours. Yeah.
well, I could certainly appreciate the notion of having choices just as you would in a wardrobe. If you've got to dress up for the evening, you want a little more stylish, formal stick to go with, or if you're very
Yeah.
casual out in the park or
Yeah.
out for the day.
Imagine you're getting married.
Hmm.
What a special, how everybody is so meticulous about what they wear, the hat, the shoes, the bag. Doesn't it just follow that you would look at the walking stick that you have? And
Right.
we have some beautiful ideas from brides who decorate the sticks with their flowers, so they use it as a bouquet and a walking stick, and they were really genius ideas. Yeah.
So, what is the most exotic place one of your sticks has ever been able to travel?
Oh, I mean, it's all exotic to me. I live in rainy UK, so we go to Puerto Rico, we go to Hawaii, we've been to the northern tips of Canada, to Tasmania, from the Middle East to every part of the US. We go all over. There's very few places we haven't touched now.
Well, let's turn the page and talk more of just the core of the business.
Yeah.
What are some of the highs and lows that you've experienced as you open the doors for your business and have made that journey?
Yeah. So the highs. I mean, God, we've connected with so many people. I open my inbox and I get strange emails. There's no other way to describe it. So one day I open my box and it's the stylist of Christina Applegate, the
Hmm.
Hollywood actress.
Hmm.
Christina, diagnosed with MS, is looking to go out for the first time in public with a walking stick, and they wanted me to design it for her.
Oh my.
I
Okay.
know. And that was like, what? And now Christine is a great friend of the business. And we collaborated with her on, we did that walking stick for her, but then we collaborated on another stick, which is called FUMS, which everybody knows what that stands for. And every time we sell one, we donate money to an MS charity, either in the US or in the UK. So that to be able to do that, to be able to connect with someone so high profile that pushes out the profile of MS apart from anything else, and our walking sticks, and we're able to give to charity. I mean, that remains a high for me, that we've been able to do that. Yeah, I mean, Lowe's. Oh, the Lowe's make, they still, when I've had really dark times when because I live with chronic illness every day as well as being an amputee, so I live with a lot of pain. So in the earlier days when I was working on my own and I was making the sticks, I was marketing the sticks, I was posting the sticks, I was doing everything, and battling with chronic illness myself, and I look back on at how hard those days were. And I look at the team that I've got now that are they surround me, and they're so committed to helping me and making this, this whole mission work. And so it takes me from really low moments where I've struggled to those ones of absolute height where I've got these great guys around me who, just lift me every day and look after me because they want me to be able to carry on as long as possible. So
Uh,
I don't know why, but they do, and I'm ever grateful for that every day.
that that is a beautiful story, and there are so many that are in business for themselves, serving different missions and different purposes. But it's what I'm thinking. I've done a lot of work recently on this show, talking about building a company culture,
Mm.
creating a purpose-driven enterprise that is not just about making the next dollar, but it's about doing some greater good for the world out there. And, some say that sounds too ethereal, that's woo woo and all that. But no, I don't think so. There's way too many stories that are similar to yours in that, there was a really personal, purpose driven
Mm.
aspect to what the thing that the company was going to do. And then there was a rally of like-minded individuals to come alongside and pitch in and make it happen.
Yeah.
And inevitably, those are just amazing companies, however small they might be, in terms of top dollar, top
Mm.
side revenue or headcount. To me, that's at some level, that's a little bit irrelevant. If you've got that purpose and mission that you're serving, the
Mm.
rest will come.
Yeah. I think I don't know whether you've ever heard this. I heard it on a podcast last week. Most businesses are either oh, on a mission, so they're like missionaries, or they're mercenaries, and that sounds quite terrible. But a mercenary is someone who's just in it to make that dollar, and
Right.
they go ahead and they do that. But the missionaries, the people on that mission, they're someone different, and I kind of think I fall into that latter category, where we are definitely on a mission. We want to make a social impact. We are purpose driven. We are mission driven, and I think I speak to my guys because we just recruited recently, and I say, I can't believe that I've been so lucky to find somebody who fits so well, because we do have a company culture. I like to think I lead from the heart. I want people to feel happy coming to work. I want people to know they're valued when they're at work. I spend most of my life with my guys at work, So I really want to make them feel productive and valued. And I say I can't believe that I've been lucky enough to find someone else who fits into our culture. And they sort of say, but that's what you project, and that's what you have attracted. And I like to think that's how it works. But yeah, we have a definite feeling, we have a definite vibe that fits into our little group of people. And maybe it's my vibe, maybe it's opposite vibes, because opposites can attract as well. We've got all sorts working here. No, I just love it. I feel very blessed every day.
Well, kudos to you, because I think it's undeniable, particularly in the smaller businesses, the culture that evolves and does happen is totally from the top down. You as the owner founder have to drive that. And I say that you as a universal you, speaking to those who might have their businesses out there. If there's anybody listening right now that you're scratching your head, you feel like your business isn't quite vibing or clicking the way you sort of envisioned it, you probably need to look in the mirror, just to be blunt. You probably need to challenge yourself. Have you done enough to communicate the purpose, the passion, the mission, and the standard that you want to exude? And in your case particularly, and arguably it should be everybody's case, who is the community you're going to serve? Who are those people? What do they really need? What do they really want? You can have 1,000 great ideas, but if it doesn't serve anybody,
No.
it's never going to be commercially viable.
No. And I think that's one way that we're a unique company. So I'm a disabled creator, but I'm also part of the community that I'm creating for. So in the beginning, I was my target market. Marketing, I won't say it was a breeze, because it wasn't, but all I had to do was think about what I wanted from a mobility aid, what I wanted from the feeling, what I wanted from how it made me feel. I just had to look at myself, and I was my target market. I kind of still am. Unfortunately, I don't walk any longer. The rest of the body's falling apart, Doug, so I don't walk any longer. But I still appreciate what it feels like to look good. I still appreciate what it feels like to go out and to remember how people would look at you with pity. Oh, it's that, and that just used to make me want to stand up and scream. I just want people to look at me and go, hiya, love that, love your stick, love your hat, love your shoes. I just want to be spoken to just like a normal person. So we still have that big, strong connection to our community. I still feel that I know what people want, but the only other way to find out is to ask them.
Right.
And that the first rule of marketing, if you've got a connection to your community, just ask them what they want, and you'll find that they will communicate with you. We can't always deliver, because some of their ideas are a little bit airy-fairy, we just can't do it. But if you want to know, just ask them. And I think we successfully do that. I think that's one thing that we do as a company.
Beautiful, beautiful, very powerful words, and probably a great closing remark here for the episode. And we are about up on time, Lyndsay, but thank you so much for sharing that story. It is an amazing story. Tell the folks the website name if they're interested in knowing more.
Yeah, you can get in touch with us at neo-walk.com. Drop us a message, drop us an email. We've got a phone, you can give us a ring. But we're always here. There's always someone waiting to talk and connect.
That's great. And as always, folks, we'll have that link in our show notes here. And I do want to remind you, we've got a video version of this show over on YouTube, channeled by the same name. If you didn't hear it in her voice, you can see the creativity that Lyndsay demonstrates. She's a very free spirit, has some beautiful ink that I can see in the video here, and great personality. And thank you, Lyndsay, for your heart and your passion for serving this community.
Thank you very much, Doug. It's been really lovely having a chat.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, folks, we're going to wrap this up. I again want to remind you that if you need to get a hold of me, you can reach out to me at my website, dougthorpe.com, THORPE, and I'll be happy to have a chat with you. I do offer a free exploratory time to get together and just talk about your business needs, your leadership journey, and things you might have on your mind. Would love to serve. But I think that wraps it all up. So we're going to say goodbye. Go out there and make it a great day.
You've been listening to Leadership Powered by Common Sense, hosted by Doug Thorpe. If you would like to know more about the coaching and advisory services he provides, visit dougthorpe.com.